Hello Internet, this is Frazley the Awesome Gnome, and welcome to part 2 of Frazley's Australian Adventure. I'm currently over in Australia visiting friends, and this week I sat down with Leeta. We had a great talk, and we ate some delicious Dalaran Brownies, and we also drank a lot of coffee, so we had a great time. So let's start the gnome train! So, Leeta, it is great to have you on Frazzlecast.
Hello, Frazzle! I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It has been one of those dreams I've had. Ever since I started Frazzlecast, I was like, I want to get Leeta. And with the time zones, it has really been difficult to get people from Australia over here.
Time zones are a real thing. Yes, most definitely. But I'm truly honored. So thank you so much. And I'm just amazed. So I can't wait to have a chat and chat about all fun things.
So I think my first question, before we get into talking about who you are, if anybody follows you on Twitter, they kind of see that you bake things.
Yeah, kind of.
What were you baking today?
Today. Okay, so I do like to bake. I've gotten very big into baking. Today I was trying a new recipe, which is a vanilla cake, which sounds really, really basic, but it's a recipe that I found from actually an American chef. I don't know if you've heard of him, Duff Goldman. He owns Charm City Bakery. They do a lot of decorative cakes and all that kind of thing. So I wanted to try his recipe out to see how it would go, because I'm into teaching myself also to decorate and do that kind of thing. So I wanted to get a cake that would be stable and be able to play with then decorating and layering. So I'm doing like a 2-tiered cake. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I haven't done any Dalaran brownies. I normally always do a Dalaran brownie when I do my baking. And I didn't have time, but I'm hopefully going to make some Dalaran brownies because they are absolutely divine. And that is from the World of Warcraft cookbook. I have got that. They are just absolutely divine. So I will be making some of those later.
I've always wondered what the stuff in WoW tasted like. I don't have the skills to cook. It's great to know that the cookbook is great.
I've made a couple of things from the cookbook, not as much as I would like to, time constraints and all of that, but there are many good things. And everything I've done, it's been great. It's so good to be able to, and my family, it's so hilarious because they're like, are you making the brownies? They don't call them Dalaran brownies. They just go, are you making those chocolate brownies? And I'm like, yeah. And I have to laugh because they've always whinged over the last 14 years of me playing WoW. Oh, you're playing that game again. Oh, what do you mean? This, what's this? What is this? And here they are eating something that's come inspired from this game that I play. So I always have this little chuckle to myself. Yeah. You know that game that you whinged to me that you think I play too much? Well, that's the recipe from the game. And yeah, they kind of look at me like, oh, well, it's yummy, it's really yummy. So make some more of those, please.
Nice. So those brownies from that game.
Yes, brownies from that game.
That's awesome. Probably while you're eating those brownies, probably then also are on the WoW Challenges podcast.
Yes, that is one of the podcasts that I do. It's a weekly podcast that Stone and I do, which focuses on the Iron Man challenge, which is, of course, the primary challenge, but we do have other challenges as well. Challenges like the Bloodthirsty, we have got the Pacifist, we have got a Green Man challenge, which is a new one that just got added a couple of weeks ago or a month or so ago. We have a Tin Man challenge, and currently we have got a Teams challenge, which involves, so it's like an Iron Man, but in teams. So there is lots of things that you can keep yourself occupied with until, there is a new expansion coming, but it's nice to step away from that and do something a little bit different. And challenge tunes are, they are definitely a bit different.
Yeah, I've got a level 2 Draenei that I'm going to take through one of the challenges. I got distracted after I started up like, oh yeah, I need to go back and play that.
Nice.
And with the way I die, that's the only thing that scares me is like I did the troll run. I had 29 deaths on the troll run. So
nice. Yeah.
I mean, thankfully challenge students aren't running from Durotar to the Western Plaguelands. I hope not. But
No, you wouldn't. You kind of want to try and bubble wrap your challenge tunes as much as you can. And it's an interesting thing because with the changes, when they made the changes to 7.3.5 and the scaling to the zones now, and it certainly made it very challenging. So for an Ironman, if people don't know what an Ironman challenge is, let me just quickly reiterate it. It's basically getting from level 1 to level 110 without dying. So you're dead, that's it. You delete your turn and you start again. You're not allowed to have any green items, blue items or purples. Definitely no legendaries. So all you're wearing is grey or white items. There are no talents allowed, but you can change specs. So the majority of Ironman that have been successful over the years that it's been running has been a Night Elf Hunter. Now, reasons for that is Night Elves have this little thing called Shadow Meld.
Oh,
which
yes.
makes it, if you want the, oh my goodness, I need to get out of this situation, you can Shadow Meld and get yourself out of a horrible situation. But also being a hunter, you've got a pet and you're ranged. So it allows for, mobs trying to sneak up on you. You've got, your freezing trap, things like that. So the majority have done the Ironman that have leveled to max over the years have been Night Elf Hunters. It's not everything. Like there have been priests, druids, various different things. But for someone who wants to start off, a Night Elf Hunter is definitely the way to go. And it's not easy. It is not the easiest thing to do. I lost my level 39 last week due to my own stupidity. That is one of the things. Like the deaths, yes, I had to strip it down, send all my stuff to my bank tune because you have a bank tune. Like I am not going to get rid of thousands of gold. So I have a little bank tune that I send everyone to. And deleting them is never a fun thing. But after you get through, if you've had a few deaths, you kind of become like, okay, damn it, I'm going to do this again. We're going to delete and re-roll and off we go. It's a very interesting challenge on how to play a hunter, how to kite, things like that. What you do in whatever class that you're going to do. How do you can't look at it like a normal turn because when you go into questing, you've got to go, okay, is there a way to get in safely? Is there a way to get out? You've got to constantly scan to be careful there's no pats coming around. Taking on res becomes harder and harder to take down as their hit points get higher and your points just go up a little bit because you're only wearing, white or grey gear. So it makes it a real challenge. But that is something that is, for me, and for a lot of the other challenge players, such a amazing and enduring feat of just trying to, it's not beat the game, but it's trying to play it in such a way that it's not normal. Like it's not your normal way of thinking. You've got to really change how you play a challenge turn, which is really good. It makes you utilize skills that possibly on a normal hunter you wouldn't use, kiting. When was the last time you kited on a hunter? I think most of us could say, yeah, not for a very long time. But on a challenge turn, there are a lot of times that you will get into a situation that you might be like, oh, I need to go, I need to kite this mob, get it down, heal the pet. Utilize all the bits and pieces that hunter comes with or whatever class that you've got to your skills to be able to, take on the mobs and level safely. There's no such thing as level safely when you're on a challenge too. There really isn't, because it just becomes crazy how hard mobs hit, all of that kind of thing. But it is such an amazing challenge that when you get that level, for me, I'm like, yes, I got another level. Yes, that's so exciting. Onward and upward we go. And a lot of fun. Very, very interesting way, though, to play.
Yeah, and I'm always amazed. Like, I saw, I'm forgetting who was the last one to get 110, but it was just, I'm thinking like all that work and the time that it took to get there. I mean, and that's a character that went there, because all my characters to get to 110 die quite a lot.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. You think about, when I'm playing Leeta, my undead warlock, and, she's gung ho, I'll go in, I'll die, this, that, and the other. And you're like, yeah, that's okay. But when I hop on, like, my bloodthirsty, I've got a Void Elf warlock, you just can't look at it the same way. I can't be so blasé with her. I've got to look at how things go. Just looking at our Ironmans at the moment. So currently we've got 33 level 110s in the Ironman challenge. So, so that's a fair chunk that have leveled since, with Legion being out, and we're currently got 4 from 100 to 104. So people are, they're slowly getting there, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's just such a interesting way to play. It really is. I can't stress it enough. You can't think of playing a challenge toon the same way that you would play a normal toon.
I was thinking about this. When you play board games, there are different rules to play each game. And it's kind of like you've applied that to WoW. There's a variant on WoW's mechanics, and you say, no, this is how you play it. It's a fascinating way, and it makes it more than just what do you have in WoW. I love how Stone has created the whole script on the site to really track things easily. I mean, that must have taken a lot of work. I'm looking at them like, yeah. And I hear, like, sometimes you update things, but that is an amazing feat. There was a podcast where Stone talked about the founding of WoW challenges and like how he wanted to continue what somebody has started, and is like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. It was, the very first person who did the Ironman challenge was way back in, Wrath? I think, was it Wrath? So Crypt, I always, if people don't know, I'm hopeless at pronouncing people's names. We all know that. I always call him Crypt because it's just the easiest way. But he was the first person who went from level 1 to 80, I think, without dying, which was an amazing feat. And that was kind of, the start of where Iron Man started way back in the day. And Stone took over the website quite a few years ago because no one was looking after it, and has really developed it from there. And we've got some really amazing people that help look after, the forums and obviously the Discord and all of that we've got, as well as people that help with, codes and formatting. But Stone himself, he doesn't give himself enough credit, but I like to give him some credit. So he has done an amazing job, and, where it's gone from and where we're going to is very exciting. And it'll be interesting to see, especially with Battle for Azeroth coming in a few months, that, what's going to happen for us then, what changes are going to be in. So, of course, any challenge has to adapt and things do change with new expansions. So we will have to wait and see, but it's all very exciting times, which is really good. Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about, like, war mode. Imagine me having a challenge toon in war mode. You're going along, all of a sudden, boom. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's not something I'm going to try, because there's been, like, the debate, obviously, that we've had on the show, and yes, you get, bonus XP and that kind of thing, but I don't like being myself flagged, so I would cry. I would literally be, crying if I was PvP flagged and someone came and killed me. And you know what? That has happened to people who decide to level on, what were like your PvP realms, where they're like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to do an Iron Man and I'm going to go on a PvP realm and I'm going to get to max level. And it has happened. I think the highest was about an 80. I'd like to say about an 85 who got one shot. Wasn't this expansion? I'm sure it must have been last expansion. Yeah, I got one shot by someone who just dropped down and just was like, bang, you're dead. And yeah, I think that was one of the streamers back in the day. So, and again, that's the things where you roll had always been an interesting thing. Most of us roll on, what is currently like Wormrest Accord, obviously, for the US servers. Because we've got the WoW Iron Man Guild over there, but there are many others, which obviously there is a lot of information on the WoWchallenges.com website, but you can do a challenge tune anywhere. So whatever server you want to do it on, completely up to you. That is not a problem. But yes, it will be interesting to see with the new expansion how many people will take it further by trying to push through with doing, war mode because they want to get more XP. That's, I can 100% guarantee to you, I will not be one of those people because I hate PvP. I don't like being flagged or anything like that. So that will not be something that I will be looking at for me to to level my tunes. But I'm sure there will be some people out there in the challenge community who will want to go max level completely, from 1 to max level completely in war mode. So it'll be very interesting.
And I told somebody that WoW challenges is like Dark Souls. If you want to add a challenge, and then now war mode would make that even more like Dark Souls 3. Like if you want to make the game challenging, do this.
Yes, it certainly is very challenging now. That's for certain.
And along with like the challenge tunes, there's another podcast that you do called Behind the Avatar.
Yes, there is.
You had me on episode 154 back on March 11, 2017. That feels like an eternity ago. I can't imagine.
Yes, I know. It's quite, we were just saying before we started recording, it's quite amazing to think, I've just had a 5-year anniversary for Behind the Avatar, which still astounds me, even now. There's so many people that I want to talk to. And obviously I was doing the show, once a week for about nearly 4 years. And real life and situations change, and sometimes you just got to dial things back a bit. So I try and do a show, every 3 to 4 weeks now. And so it's still there. But the whole reason for Behind the Avatar, because I always like stories, and it was always interesting to me when I first started playing way back in the day, and, meeting all these people and understanding, there are people behind these characters, and why did they pick that character, and why do they like that, and what fascinates them about the game, and who are they to a degree as a person, and, what things do they like? And that's where it was born from, because our common thread is we all love to play World of Warcraft, and that's where all my guests and where everyone has come from. And, sometimes everyone's got their own story, but there's so many common threads that run through about how we feel about the game, how we play the game, about aspects of the game that we enjoy. And that is where I find most interesting, is all the little bits and pieces that it's what makes it tick. Why do we do the things that we do? to play this game that we all love. And that is what it's all about. Yeah, it's, as I said, it's been a year since we had a chat, and I've been very blessed to have you and so many other people on the show, which has been fantastic. And hearing stories, like my thing was, if I was the only one that heard the story, well, then I'm pretty happy because I get to hear the story. I'm lucky that I can put it out there. And if anyone else listens and hears the story and they enjoy it, then yay. But I always feel blessed that I get to hear your story. And that to me is the most satisfying thing, because I'm like, oh, okay, that's why Frazley does what he does. Okay, I understand.
I was able to be on a senior project for Fussy Pants. They did a video on being human, and they actually did exactly what you said of finding what is it to be human in World of Warcraft. And it was that same thing. And the stories that came out in that video were people saying like, WoW helps them figure out who they are and helps them realize, oh yeah, that's who I am. That's why I like this. And you get to be different in WoW, but your character comes out. It's like the movie The Mask. The Mask brings out your true character instead of hiding your true character.
That's a good way to look at it, definitely. Also, I think, for a lot of people, how people play tunes and why they choose, like for me, one of the things I always said is I look at all the characters that I have, all my alts. I've got my main, which is Leeta, my undead warlock, who will forever be my first love. And then I have my many alts. And from them, of course, I've got normal alts as well as my challenge tunes. But all of them have a bit of me into it. And that's how I've always looked at the game. So for some other people, when you talk to them, and especially for when I'm speaking to the males that play, and I'm like, well, one of the questions is, do you just play male characters, or do you play male and female, or like what do you play? And the different, how they perceive it. But not only that, also to the women that I ask who play. And some say, well, yeah, I play a male character. And I just find it's quite fascinating. I like to be the big, like a big Tauren, and I feel, like, whereas the female Tauren's a little bit smaller. So to get something that's really big and do something a little bit different. And how they perceive that is so interesting to me, because I've never, ever rolled a male character, because for me, part of me is in each character, and I'm female. So I just go, I can't roll a male character. It's just foreign for me. But how everyone goes around and what they do for their, what they roll and how they look at it, that within itself, yes, is very interesting.
Well, and I have a friend who was born female, but they rolled a male, and they've actually been RPing to kind of figure out who they are. And it was interesting. I never thought about using WoW to try on different personas and identities. I was like, that makes the WoW a whole different vehicle. And like in RP, I know people who will try things in RP just because they're like, what would happen? Like someone was like, what would happen if you did like a mafia guild or like a mafia crimes ring? And they just decided, hey, we'll make a guild that's all mafia, and we'll act like we're doing mafia things.
Yeah. I've been very blessed to have some fantastic role players on and to have a chat to them. And again, everyone's perspective on how they play and what they love about the game. And yeah, it's, again, we have millions of people that play and love this game, and there's so many, and everyone has a little bit of different take or a big take on what they do and what they love about the game. And that, yeah, as I said, it's still 5 years later, I'm still doing that podcast, and it's still one of my most favorite things to do. It just hearing people's stories and why they chose that and why they do the things that they do in game. And Yeah, just again, such an interesting thing. And I'm very blessed that people have shared their stories with me. That's for certain.
And you have a great personality. I remember when I was on, it really felt like I was having a cup of coffee. I mean, when I was on, it was too late for me to have coffee, but I felt like I was just at a coffee shop talking with a friend.
That's what I always wanted. You know, there's nothing more scary to if the person that you're talking to is not a streamer or podcaster or any of that. And I've always said, I'm not worried about who I talk to. They don't need to be a named person. I want to hear all stories from anyone who would be interested in sharing them with me. So sometimes for them, the very first time that they kind of come out of their shell, other than maybe talking to their guild on Vent or Discord or that kind of thing, is they're sharing their story with me. And even though it's not live, it's still, you know, it's recording audio. And I always wanted to make it just to be comfortable. It's just two people having, you know, two new friends, sometimes just having a chat about something they love. And World of Warcraft is that whole common thread of what we, you know, what do you love? Oh, you know, tell me about it. And yes, I sit here, drink coffee. If people don't know, coffee is my blood, as Stone constantly plays on the WoW Challenges show, which it is. I am a huge coffee nut. I make no apologies for that. Half my Twitter feed, or probably 80% of my Twitter feed, is about coffee, because it's something that I love and am very passionate about. But going out for coffee, I can't come over to you, Frazley, and say, okay, let's go and have a chat. We're doing it the new age way by doing an online chat, but I just like to have it so people feel comfortable that we're just having chat. Yeah, have it, whether you're having a drink, whether it's a bourbon or a beer, or just sit down. It's like, sit down, take some time. We're just having a chat about something that you love, and tell me about it. That's it. And then I record it. Easy peasy, and share with the world for those that want to listen, which is always great.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think you were one of the big inspirations for what I did, because like I was on one episode of All Things Azeroth. I had a fun time. I was nervous. I think I was on, and then I think I was on another one. But then I was on your show, and I loved hearing the stories. And I think it was around there. And this is an event I hate to bring up, but it's always stuck in my mind. Was when Vrishna passed away of Ctrl Alt WoW. But I realized I've never met Vrishna, but I connected with them. I just listening to them in the podcast, I connected with them. And I was like, wow. And I think when I realized that, I was like, it showed me how this medium is powerful, that somebody I never met, I felt very, and I still do. Sorry. I'm gearing up right now because I just remembering.
It is a amazing thing to be able to do. And when you realize that's right, sometimes, you don't get, when you do some shows and do some stuff that you put out, it's not like you're like an actor or high profile people that obviously would get a lot more feedback. Sometimes you don't get much feedback from people about, things that you do. And to hear, you saying that's really sweet, Frazley. Thank you. And like you, Vrishna, I miss him dearly. And I'm not going to tear up, but he was always a great inspiration, especially when he got into doing Iron Man, because obviously Stone and I met when we got Stone to come on Ctrl Alt WoW, and I was doing that show. I think I did that show for about 4 years with Aprillian, Vrishna, Tidra, and Rogueslayer. Again, a different show that takes a different take on how you can play the game, different alts, and for some people, dual boxing or multi-boxing and all that kind of thing. And again, there's no right and wrong on how to play this game. If you want to go PvP, or you want to just go quest, or you just want to go RP, like there's so many different ways. And we had Stone on, and that's where we all got to know Stone, and, you know, the rest is history, so, as they say. But Varishna really took off on the Iron Man, and he was just determined to get a Blood Elf hunter, because that's what he loved. That was his first love, always the Blood Elf hunters. But he always said, I'm not going to change the way that I play. I want to play the way that I play, but I'm going to do Iron Man. And so still stuck with all the rules, and the amount of times, I can't remember the amount of times and how many tunes he lost, but he would pick himself up and he would roll, you know, and he'd be like, I'm rolling again. And there would be many times he would whisper me and he's like, damn it, I lost another one. I'm going to re-roll. And I'd be like, go, Varishna, go, you can do it. And just the love that he had for the game and for just not letting things, when he died as an Iron Man, you know, he'd be like, damn it. He'd get angry with himself, but he'd go again, you know, and he'd keep trying. And that was one of the things that I really miss about that he's not here. But also just, you know, the influence, like you said, that people have on our lives, you know. Brilliant's one of my greatest friends. I'm so blessed to have known all of them. And obviously from a show where we got Stone on a guest, that here we are, coming up to our 3rd year anniversary, actually, for WoW Challenges show in August. Stone and I, you know, have been with our show and then developed, you know, a friendship that's gone amazing things. I'm going to go to BlizzCon with him and his wife and meet them for the very first time and see all these people that I've, you know, listened to and seen on social media, and just how exciting, like, from just, again, playing a game, this one game that we love. Like, how crazy good is this? Like, all the great stuff that comes from this fundamental love of this game that, you know, very blessed that it's still here. We're still being able to play it. I'm having so much fun. I mean, others that may not be, but I certainly am. And for me, there's so much I want to do in the game. And yeah, no, it is pretty surreal how things are so connected and what they can mean for us in such a wonderful, wonderful way, and impact it has on our lives. Like I said, it is great.
And like, I had this game in 2004 when I lost my dog, and it was like, and then I came back to WoW. I was like, wow, this game has been here for me, even if I've not always been here. It's amazing how this game's, so far, it looks like it's going to keep going on and on. I mean, I know there's theories that WoW's almost over, but no, I think they're just getting started again. But it would not be a proper Leeta podcast without talking about your third podcast, Adventures in Azeroth.
Yes. Okay, so the thing is, Stone asked me to do a podcast with him, which became the WoW Challenges podcast, which is what we do every week. I'm going to say 7 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday night, which, of course, is 9 a.m. Aussie time for me, because I'm from Australia. We got to talking, you know, we started the podcast, and then we were like, well, we talk about all things challenge related, because at the time I was still doing, I think, Ctrl Alt WoW, and I had a medium to be able to release, you know, not only do I play challenge tunes, I play normal tunes, and I can be very busy, you know. So my times of when I talk about what I've done in a week can become, you know, there is a lot that I do. And in the end, we decided that we would start up our Adventures in Azeroth, and that pertains to, for Stone and I, the things that we do within the game that don't really involve the challenge tomb. So we kind of like to keep them a bit separate, because otherwise we'd be doing like WoW challenges for like a 5-hour podcast every week. If that was the case, then it's just like, no, we can't do that. So yeah, Adventures in Azeroth is just, again, me and Stone, you know, chatting away about things that happen, like news and what we've done in the game. And we try and keep it to about an hour and a half at the max. It's just one of those little things that we just like to have a chat and catch up and see what else that we've done in the game. So again, what you can do, how you play the game in whatever aspect that you want to play the game. There is so many things within WoW that you can do and enjoy and have fun. So I'm lucky to have 2 shows that cover all of that kind of thing. And then my Behind the Avatar, which covers how other people like to play the game. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It really shows that it's amazing that WoW's a game you can play, WoW's a game you can connect with people, and WoW's a game you can make podcasts, videos, streams, art, video. I mean, there's so much you can do around WoW. I actually have commissioned from Jules Scott a Alliance fidget toy. I mean,
oh, nice.
It's amazing just all this stuff that you can do around this game. I mean, that's why to me, WoW's not a game. Well, it's a game, but it's not just a game. Otherwise,
yeah,
I spend less time playing WoW sometimes and more time making stuff about WoW, talking about WoW.
Nice. I must admit, it does seem like that for me at the moment. It feels like the body fails for me. I always say, my body's failing. Like, damn it, let me stay up late. I just want to keep leveling this too. Why am I so tired? Stop getting old, buddy. Stop it. Because I certainly can't do what when I first started playing, where you'd be you'd be up till 2:00 in the morning and go, oh yeah, that's right, I gotta get up in like 3 hours. I really should go get some sleep. But you just can't do that. But I also enjoy it because, bringing in like my love for cooking and baking and having the cookbook and exploring, different things. Like we were saying when you started the show, to just be like, I'll pull something out. And I made the delicious chocolate cake, that's normally comes out at Christmas time, where you get the delicious chocolate cake and, you normally place that on the ground and eat that and get the buff of joy or whatever it is, the happy buff and eat that. And I made that last year. And I didn't tell my family. And, I created, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. What's that? And in the end, and I did the same thing. I'm like, well, that's a recipe from my game that you always whinge to me that I play, and they all go, oh, well, yeah, that one's pretty good. I like that one.
I really need to start trying to cook now. You're going to be hungry. So before I start trying to get hungry, I wanted to look behind the avatar of Leeta.
Okay.
I've got a couple questions kind of based off things that are similar to what you've asked me on Behind the Avatar. And just questions I think that would be fun. What got you into WoW?
Okay, so this is going back 14 years ago. My partner at the time, he started playing, and one of his friends got him into the game, and I would constantly look at the game and I'd just be like, what are you doing? What's that? What's that? So I'd just be over his shoulder, like pointing to things on the screen. Like, what are you doing? What's that thing? What's that? What's that? And in the end, one day, I think this went on for about, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks. And in the end, he was like, got off up the chair and he's like, sit down. Okay, put your fingers here, because obviously, I didn't know really how to use the mouse or anything. So he put my fingers on the keyboard and he's like, okay, use these ones to move this way and this one to do this and try it. And I was like, okay, had no idea what I was doing. I think ran around in circles for about the first 5 minutes until I kind of got used to, okay, I need to be able to walk this way and follow that. That was it. I was hooked. I was just like, I need to play it. So he said, okay, let me finish, because I think they were just finished raiding or something. And he's like, once I finish, I'll let you, make it your own character and you can try it and just get a feel for it. And I said, no, I can't just make a character. I'm going to have to research it. So then I spent the next week researching what character I was going to do and to come up with a name, which took me a whole week because I devoured. We had the original World of Warcraft book that came out, and I was reading the whole thing and looking at all the classes and everything. And yeah, that's basically where it started from. And then once I made a character on his account to try it and to give it a go. And in the end, I'd constantly be saying, can I play yet? Can I play yet? And he's like, yeah, maybe you should get your own account. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, I'll go get my own account. Of course. So yeah, that was it. As soon as I knew I had to have my own account, that was it. I was a WoW addict. Absolutely.
Nice. I think that's how it all started. I was talking with a person who doesn't play video games, and they had the same story of that they just started playing it because one of their friends said, hey, play this game. They're like, no. Okay. Yep. I see why you said play this game.
Nice.
Do you have a funny moment in WoW?
Oh, geez. Wow. Oh, well, there's so many. There is literally so many. Probably one of the ones that's just popped into my brain right now is back in Warlords. I am not a huge PvPer, but there are times that I would just go full skate, PvP, Reg Dead, months of grinding out. I remember grinding out titles back in the day. I can't remember what I got to, Sergeant or the next one up or something. And Ashran was such a big thing. And to get into Ashran, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, what was going on, had no idea. I'm just running around following everyone, dying, killing stuff, dying. It was just crazy. But this time I got into this one and it all seemed very, it was really weird. And I'm looking at the chat and I'm thinking, people are like, okay, if you've got people, we're trying to get people in and this and this and this. And I'm just like, why would they be trying to get people in? We've got a full group. It just was all a bit bizarre, but I'm just following around and I'm just doing my thing, killing people, dying, rezzing, all that kind of stuff. And in the end, it was actually one of these massive PvP guilds that took over the battleground. And I got to be a part of it, which was really bizarre. And I had no idea until probably about 10 minutes before I kind of was like, oh, I've got to go. And they took over and we ended up absolutely annihilating the alliance. So yeah, for the Horde, which was awesome. And it was just the whole pertain within itself of how all of that happened and not realizing, who these guys were, because I'm not a PvP, I'm not really a PvP person or follow a lot of PvPers. And that within itself was completely hilarious. When I left, I was working on the Conquest titles. I can't remember, but you had to go and kill 2,000 dwarfs and 2,000 humans, and you had to work on different ones. And it was quite hilarious. Not hilarious haha, that's so funny, but it was amazing to see such a well-oiled machine in a guild coming in and taking that battleground and turning it from where we weren't winning and turning it into such a well-run killing machine of, trouncing through Ashran. So to me, that was amazing. And it was funny and it was, huge. It was hilarious because I had no idea what was going on. The other time that happened was back in Burning Crusade. And this is me. This is me being the dirt that I am. And I say that with much affection because one of the things that I've always done right from the word when my partner at the time introduced me to the game as I've played over these years, one of the things that I've always managed to do is to fall off things. If people said you could never fall off that, yeah, there will be a way, and I will somehow manage to fall off and die from things that you shouldn't be able to do it. And I don't try to, but you just end up, you're questing somewhere, something happens, and you end up going, I fell off Netherstorm. So do you remember the old Netherstorm? You've got this part that's got where it falls down into the abyss. Well, when you fall off the world and you fall a really, really long way, you do die, because obviously there's a point of the game that's like, yeah, you're not getting your tune back, and you're not going to keep falling. We've got to cut you at some point. And I remember, here I am dead. I've just fallen off. I've got two of my friends who are standing like literally on the edge, peering over, going, what are you doing down there? And I'm like, I'm dead. Can you guys res me? They're like, no, we can't reach you. We can see you. You look like an ant, but we cannot reach you. So I ended up scrolling my screen as far out as I could, turned the camera angle so I was looking straight down on myself, and took a screenshot, which I've still got somewhere on my computer. But it was just so funny. And then I eventually, so I couldn't res. I went back, got myself, ran my spirit all the way across, and you're standing on, because you can't jump into the abyss and try and res, like you're going to die again. So I'm standing on the edge where my friends are standing, and I'm like, I can't get my body. They're like, haha, you need to go back to the spirit healer. Now that was before, because now you can take yourself back to the spirit healer. I couldn't do that. I had to run then all the way back to the spirit healer so I could res my body, get my 10 minutes of res sickness, and and they were killing themselves laughing. They're like, how on earth did you fall off that? And I'm like, I don't know how it happened. But yeah, I was dead. And they was just, every time I'd die, they'd be like, how did you die? I don't know. Just end up dead. I don't know. So yeah, that's one of my memories, most vivid memories of me dying somehow. But yeah, that's a common theme. Not good for a challenge tune, but completely hilarious on a normal tune.
Oh, I know. I was talking with somebody about High Mountain, and I died in a certain area in High Mountain, and it was like, how did you get there? I have no clue.
Yes.
And what is a song that speaks to you?
World of Warcraft song or a normal song?
Either. Just something that when you listen to it, it speaks to a part of you. Like, there's a song by Building 429 that's about, like, impossible, kind of saying, like, nothing's impossible. And that one is a song I listen to kind of gear myself up if I'm having a bad day.
I have many songs. I am a great lover of music. I like to have music in all many forms. I've been brought up to love many different genres of music, and that's kind of a curse and a blessing in many aspects, because there are times that I'm like, damn it, Dad, I remember that song. And then, your foot starts tapping and you're like, stop it, I don't want to listen to it. Probably for me, my first love's always like heavy metal, rock and roll will always be that. So the one song that will always, as soon as that guitar starts, that's like it's a pump it up song. Now, no surprising it's going to be an Australian band, and it's probably the biggest band that's come out of Australia ever, which of course is AC/DC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this song itself would have to be Thunderstruck, because when I'm feeling a little bit down, when I need to pump it up myself or give myself a pickup, that will be the song or one of them that I will go to, because that guitar riff and, the whoa, 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 and you can feel it. You can feel the energy. You can feel it, because it starts off slow, builds up until you're going, thunderstruck. Yeah, so that one for me would be one of the ones that really has a great impact on me, my attitude, my mood, and just music within itself. Yeah.
I love songs like that because I do ballroom dancing, and music has a way of speaking to the heart and the soul in a way that nothing else can. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what is a book you like?
Books. I'm a lover of reading. I'm a lover of books. At the moment, I'd have to say I'm reading Before the Storm.
Yes.
Christy Golden, who I love. She is such an amazing writer. I absolutely love her. Really, I have decided really not a good idea to be reading that at work while you're working. I'm not giving any spoilers, but there was some emotional bits, and I'm like, I probably should stop reading this book right now. Especially when you're trying to serve customers.
Yeah.
It's not good when you go out and you've got, you look like you've been crying. So I'm going to actually I've got a lot of her, I've got all of her World of Warcraft books for certain. And I would have to say that Arthas would be, in particular, one of the books that so utterly love. I mean, there's many more, Rise of the Horde and that, like Warcraft related. I've got a lot and I love them. Just amazing. But for if I want to say a normal book, there's many things that I could say, but I'm gonna do something a little bit different. And I'm gonna say it's actually my grandma's cookbook that she gave to me before she passed. And for me to have that and to have her recipes, and she was the one who made the most impact for me, being able to cook, teaching me how to, bake and cook and all of that. To have that is just my most treasured thing that I have, because even she didn't give it to my mom, because my mom can cook, but mom's always said, I'm not like my mother. I'm not a good cook. I can cook okay, but grandma was always an amazing cook, amazing baker. And the fact that grandma passed that on to me was such an honor and such a thrill. I have that and I refer to it regularly. If not, like every week, not necessarily daily, every week. I am always looking through recipes in her cookbook, handwritten recipes from her, and also recipes that she collected over her years. And so those would be my picks.
That's really cool. I'm struck by the amazing legacy of that. That's awesome.
Thank you. It is. And that's, again, just the profound impact people can make on our lives, and in whatever variant it is, whether it's through games, through, family, through friends, just the things that here I am, many years, I'm not going to say how old, but obviously, years later, and grandma's been gone for quite some time, and she'd be smiling and thrilled to know that I'm baking and, putting effort into doing all this thing and having such a love for it. So I know she'd be really, really proud. So I'm thrilled.
And I think that's a good transition into the second to last question. What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, dessert? I'm such a sucker for sweet, anything sweet.
Me too.
Anything, like if you said sweet or savory, I'm sweet. That will always be my go-to. But Oh, to pick one. There's so many. I think, well, it's winter here. Okay, let's pick a winter one, which I haven't made for a little bit, but it's now just inspired me that perhaps I might make that for dessert tonight. It's one, I don't know if I would imagine you guys would probably have heard of it. It's called an impossible pie. You can do it in a sweet version and a savory version. And the sweet version, of course, there's a lot of sugar in it. There's coconut, vanilla, that kind of thing. But it comes out into this really nice, to have a sweet impossible pie straight out of the oven. Some people like to have it with cream or ice cream, which is really good. I just like to have it. It's kind of like its own sort of custardy type of like pie. The pie shell makes itself. The bread, makes its own little crust, and it's just really it's quick, it's easy, it's simple to make, and you let it bake for 40 minutes, whatever. But once it comes out, it's just one of those that it's got this homely comfort food type of thing. So yeah, I would say that.
Ooh, I'm hungry now.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. And then this final question is very controversial. I'm probably going to get a lot of letters on this one. How do you like your coffee?
Okay, so I do have coffee in again, I'm a coffee lover. There are many different forms of coffee that I love to drink it in. I have got just about every different type of way to make coffee that you possibly have in my house. So I am a huge, huge coffee nut. I can't do the strong black coffee anymore, unfortunately. The body has been through quite a bit in the last few years, and it just won't allow me to have, if I want that strong black coffee, I just can't. But I love to have, again, I am a chocolate girl. So for me, like a mocha, a mochaccino, like cappuccino, mocha, chocolate coffee, that kind of thing is really good. Otherwise, like a cappuccino. Strong, of course, it will always be strong. But yeah, I'm just either a mocha or a cappuccino type of person. And that's how I like to have my coffee. Every now and again, I might do like a little shot, like a little espresso shot. I can't do the big mugs of black coffee like I used to be able to, which makes me sad, but at least I can enjoy coffee in many different forms still. So I'm happy.
Absolutely. I went to Puerto Rico about a year ago, and I asked for a coffee. They came out this little cup. I'm like, what?
Yes.
I was like, oh, this is what my coffee looks like when it's not all watered down.
Yes. Because
I'm like these 16 ounces. I think I've had like at least, I don't even want to count how many ounces I've had today, but yes, I know what you mean. But yeah, Leeta, thank you again. This has been great. This is almost like behind the avatar of Leeta.
Thank you so much, Frazley. It's been wonderful to catch up with you and have a chat. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Leeta, for sitting down with me to talk. I had a great time, and I really enjoyed the stories that you shared. It was really cool getting to hear behind the avatar of Leeta. So next week, we will return back to our live shows. So I will see you at Gnome.LIVE, or if you're listening to the download, I'll see you right back here for episode 66. So until next week, be awesome. Welcome to the Frazley Report, a short news report by me, Frazley, the Awesome Gnome, to deliver your weekly World of Warcraft news. With Battle for Azeroth looming ahead of us, one question still remains. What is going to happen to the Broken Shore? Now that the Tomb of Sargeras was raided in Legion and the portal was closed, opportunistic Gart Hagglesnap has decided to build a resort here. Seeing the tourism potential of people visiting the tomb, they have decided to open the Resort of Sargeras. With the defeat of the Burning Legion, the Broken Shore lies empty and in a state of chaos. No one has laid claim to the land, so Gart decided to take it upon themselves to build a resort.
As some people don't care about sun, in fact, some would rather look out into dull gray. Most goblins would build in a paradise like Azeroth, Frazley, or Daenerys. But I decided to go where no one else is. Plus, the land price was free, as no one wants it. We are a stone's throw from Dalaran. Many people are going to be traveling to the Broken Isles anyway to show their kids what happened during the third invasion of the Burning Legion. So I decided, hey, why not?
The resort of Sargeras will open in the next year. Bookings are already underway. Hagglesnap is already looking for investors. The underground lava lakes will serve as natural energy for the hot tubs in the spa. Gart says this helps the resort be environmentally friendly and green. This has been the Frazley Report. I am Frazley Sparkspan. You can find the show at frazlreport.com. Until next week, be awesome. Frazzlecast is a fan podcast that covers Blizzard games. We are not affiliated with Blizzard Entertainment. Views expressed by the host and guests are their own. Some of the art, music, and sound effects come from Blizzard games and are owned by Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. No copyright infringement is intended.
Want more awesomeness every week? Visit weeklyawesome.com. Weekly podcasts to make your week better. Remember to smile and be awesome.